here at Heinz Field. Look at the towels. 28 degrees. It was 50 degrees warmer 3 days ago. They had to cut the grass at Heinz Field. Let's go down to the field and Armin Katayan.
Thank you, Dick. I'm with head coach Bill Cowher. Bill, great scene, but you've got a well-rested football team against a Jets team that's gone back-to-back overtime games. How big of an edge? How might you best exploit it?
Well, I know it's an edge. The playoffs bring out an energy that the regular season doesn't. You know, we're rested, but it's a one-game season. We know it. We just got to get off to a good start and keep our crowd into it.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Dick?
All right, and with all the success in his 13 years, Bill Cowher knows that that defeat can come painfully quick in the championship round. As the Jets will get the ball first, Jericho Cotchery, B.J. Askew, two youngsters are back. Cotchery returned one for a touchdown in the games that concluded the season in St. Louis. That's Jeff Reed to kick it off for Pittsburgh.
Dick, Bill Cowher talked about keeping the crowd in it. I don't think that's a problem. This place is insane.
Edwards hopes a quick score by the Jets will dull that enthusiasm. Here comes Cotchery. And Jericho spins away from one tackler, but is brought down shy of the 20 by Ike Taylor. And here comes the Jets offense, sore shoulder and all. Chad Pennington's numbers are good on the year. He needs to be great today. Pro Bowl center Kevin Mawai is New York's emotional and physical leader in the middle of that line. And classy Curtis Martin, a native of Pittsburgh, is the oldest ever at 31 to win the NFL rushing title. Martin with Gerald Soule, the fullback. Tight end Bett in motion. And a quick throw to the sideline to Santana Moss. And he sprints across the 30 to the 32 and a first down. Well, let's take a look now at the Pittsburgh Steelers defense of Bill Cowher, led up front by Aaron Smith's 8 sacks. Linebacking is the strength of this number 1 NFL defense with Pro Bowlers James Ferrier and Joey Porter. And in his second year, safety Troy Polamalu. He goes to Honolulu with a team-high 5 interceptions. A gain of a dozen on the first play of the game for the Jets. And now it's Martin's turn. Knocked down at the 34 after a gain of 2 as Pro Bowler James Ferrier made the tackle.
Well, some things to keep an eye on this afternoon. We're going to start off talking about Kevin Mawai and this offensive line. Can they keep this Pittsburgh defense away from their quarterback? And what a plethora of running backs we've got today. Curtis and Lamont. We've got Jerome and Deuce. We're going to see some great running today. And can they put some defensive pressure on Big Ben as they did in game number 1, forcing him into some dangerous throws.
Second down and 8. Pennington looking long. Almost intercepted. Missed Justin McCarron's and almost picked off as a flag goes down. Deshae Townsend covering.
Holding. Number 69 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
And that penalty, Dan, is like opening a wound for Herm Edwards. In the game here a month ago, this Jets team, one of the least penalized in the league in the last 4 years, 12. You see a dozen of them in the first half.
Yeah, and the Jets all week long have been talking to themselves about if we wouldn't have been so stupid in committing all those penalties in the first game, they think they could have had a lead at halftime instead of 3-3. So this is a football team that can't afford to be in a hole here on the road. Big mistake.
Well, second and long now for Pennington, and this is where Pittsburgh likes to come with a blitz. They give this to Martin, and he drives to the 29 before James Ferrier voted the Steelers' most valuable player on his way to a first Pro Bowl, makes the tackle.
Well, you can't win football games if you're not going to convert third and long. But I think that Chad Pennington, Herman Edwards, and Paul Hackett would have liked to have gone farther into the game than having one this early. This is where this Pittsburgh defense is at its most dangerous.
3 wide receivers. Wayne Corbett in the slot. Pennington third and a dozen. Down the middle. Corbett can't come down with it at the 45-yard line. He thought he was interfered with by Willie Williams, but it's an incomplete pass and the punting team comes on.
Boy, Wayne comes up just firing at the official nearest. Let's take a look. Watch Wayne going to make a break, and he runs right into Williams. Now keep in mind, Willie Williams as a defender has the ability to preserve his space on the field. And he's standing there, and if Corbett runs into him, it's not a penalty.
Antoine Randall L back. Toby Goins punt toward the sidelines, and very short. It's going to go out of bounds near the 40-yard line of the Steelers. Just shy of the 40. 32-yard punt by Goin. We're underway. The playoffs in Pittsburgh. Friendly home of the Pittsburgh Steelers, Heinz Field. They were 8-0 this year and rarely trailed. In fact, they never were behind at home going into the second quarter all season. Look at the numbers for Roethlisberger. They're all-time for a rookie. But the best of all is 13 starts, 13 wins. Tommy Maddox injured in the second game of the season, and Roethlisberger took over. Hands off to the bus, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Let's take a look up front. Two Pro Bowl blockers for the Steelers, guard Alan Faneca and center Jeff Hardings. And Plexico Burress, the 6'5" wide receiver, didn't play in the last game against the Jets. He starts today, averaging nearly 20 yards a catch. Hines Ward, Plexico Burress, Antoine Randall L. Three outstanding receivers for Roethlisberger. 2nd and 10. The fake. His first throw is deep down the middle for Burress. Knocked away at the 20-yard line as David Barrett got back to fly swat it away from Burress.
Well, what this does, first of all, this has been a weakness in the Jets defense, getting by safety Eric Coleman, and Burress is past Coleman. It's up to David Barrett, the corner, to make the play on the football. He's supposed to have over-the-top safety help, Coleman getting there, but Burress going deep keeps the Jets from putting 8 people in the box. Donnie Henderson telling us he can't be as aggressive as he was in the first game because Barrett's playing in this one.
3rd and long and a flag before the snap. Veron Haynes has replaced Bettis in the backfield in that shotgun formation. He's a better receiver.
Number 84, offense.
Dick, that's why a talented wide receiver like Plexico Burress changes the running game, just the way Randy Moss does with Minnesota's running game. You can't commit that extra defender to stopping the run. You need that extra defender to put 2-man coverage on a talented receiver.
Let's go down to Armin Katan.
You guys were talking about Ben's thumb before the game. We had watched him. It appeared he was uncomfortable with that thumb as he was warming up. I spoke to him about it. He said it was fine, as did Bill Cowher. He's got that glove on. He's worn it 3 or 4 times a year, but in my mind, it's worth keeping an eye on, Dick. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Armin. They're not going to get this one off. Yep, they just did at 0-0. Roethlisberger deflected incomplete. Up in front of the pass was Derek Strait, the rookie from Oklahoma, to leap high and deflect the ball.
Ooh, how close was that to a huge break for the Jets? The ball just a little high for Derek Strait, but again, that's a ball. These are the playoffs. That's a ball that could have really easily and should have been intercepted by the rookie.
Back to punt, Chris Gardocki has the longest string ever of a punt not being blocked, well over 1,000 kicks in his career. And he sends his left foot into this one and spins it towards Santana Moss. Hit immediately by Sean Morey, who is the special team star out of Brown University. He led the team in tackles on special teams during the year. No score early here at Heinz. Stakes are high. The Final Four AFC, Final Four NFC teams, and the number 1 seed, the Steelers, on the AFC side. The Jets have had their problems scoring early all season long. Pennington gives to Martin. And Martin slashes his way out to the 30-yard line, and a gain of nearly 7. Here's a young guy. You saw him on the pregame feature. Grew up in Pittsburgh, in trouble. He said he dreamed so often about being shot. He had a gun at his head once, and the trigger pulled, but the bullet lodged in the gun and not ended his young life. Football was his savior, and now he's one of the top runners in the history of this game, Curtis Martin. Formation. They throw underneath to McCarron's, and he is hit immediately by Chad Scott, the veteran who returns from 9 weeks on the bench with an injured knee.
Well, the first time these two met in Week 14, you can see it was a 17-6 Pittsburgh win. Even though the Jets had the advantage in yards, time of possession, unfortunately, they also led in turnovers and penalties, which did them in. But it was 3-3 into the fourth quarter before Jerome Bettis threw for a touchdown, ran for a touchdown, and put the game away.
First down on the pass play to McCarron's. Pennington can't get out of the pocket as he's twisted down by Clark Higgins. Higgins, who replaced Jason Gilden at that outside linebacker spot.
Well, Chad Pennington is not the most fleet-footed quarterback in the National Football League, and this Pittsburgh defense from every position can run. And that was an excellent job of maintaining the upfield containment by Higgins. He's still able to go inside the block, but still contain to that side of the field. Really well done by Higgins.
They bunch 3 wide receivers to the right, and now brings Soule, the fullback, in motion. Martin hit in the backfield, and he loses some more yards as this Steeler defense puts on the pressure. Higgins and Ferrier, the 2 linebackers.
Well, second and very long. The Jets, I think, are very predictable in using the draw play as much as they do. And as you can see, this did not fool the Pittsburgh defense whatsoever. Not one little bit. Ferrier was in there, the former Jet, first-team All-Pro. Once he gets done with Curtis Martin, even though he didn't make the tackle, the play was over.
Third down, 24. 3 down linemen, and they give it to Martin, and he picks up some good yardage all the way out to the 35, but that leaves the Jets at 4th and 11.
But that's a good play. That's a good play, resulted in some positive yardage. No surprise, these two teams know they're going to play a battle of field position. Neither one wants to put their defense in a compromising position. Be safe. In that type of yardage situation, get some good yardage and punt the ball away.
Gowen's first kick was short, 32 yards. And this one not much longer as Antoine Randall fields it and then skips out of bounds across the 35-yard line. 32-yard punt, 4 on the return. We have a timeout. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. You can get complete recaps from all of today's NFL games, plus insight from CBS Sportsline's NFL experts. Log on CBSSportsline.com. Roethlisberger and the Steelers have it at the 36. No score, first quarter. Big Ben to throw. And it is caught for a gain at the 50 into the 48. Hines Ward, who led the Steelers with 80 catches this year, his 6th consecutive year as the top receiver for Pittsburgh.
Well, a good-looking timing pattern here. Hines Ward, this is all, the ball right now is already in the air as he makes the break in front of a rather large cushion that he's getting from David Barrett. This is where trust between a receiver and a quarterback is so valuable, and it's on throws like that sometimes that Ben just does not look like a rookie.
16-yard play, first down at the Jets' 49, and here comes the bus. Rumbling to the 41-yard line, a gain of 8 for Bettis, who started 6 games this year, and all 6 he carried for more than 100 yards.
Well, I think everybody knows that Jerome Bettis relinquished the starting job to Deuce Staley, and it wasn't until Staley got hurt that Jerome was becoming the main guy again, and I think this start today is Bill Cowher's way of saying, Jerome, thank you. Thank you for the way you handled being a backup, and thank you for being ready when your number was called.
Second and a short 2. Back to Bettis. He's got the first down and more to the 34-yard line. Bettis, who was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams. That's how far back we go. And Chuck Knox was their coach, and he said, I'm forever thankful to Knox because in the draft workouts, he came to me and said, would you like to be a tailback? And he said, I'd have been a fullback all my life. He said, that'll move me up a couple of draft picks.
There is Deuce Staley on the Pittsburgh sideline. He will play today. Deuce is healthy, and he will play. Not 100%, but he's healthy enough.
Bettis learning to dodge linebackers and linemen as Roethlisberger dodges, throws deep, incomplete for Burris. Covered well by Donnie Abraham.
Now that's a throw that he only makes to Plexico Burris because he was covered all the way by Abraham, and I think Ben's saying, hey, I'm confident, I'll go with the jump ball because I think my 6'5 guy's got a better chance of getting it than the 5'9 or 5'10 Abraham.
Meanwhile, John Abraham, not related to Donnie, the premier defensive pass rusher, defensive end, Pro Bowler, not in uniform. Herm Edwards says, should the Jets win, he feels that Abraham could play next week. Second and 10, back to Bettis and a couple of yards for Jerome. Interesting statistical matchup in this first quarter, Dan. Pittsburgh scored more points than anyone in the NFL in the opening quarter. The Jets allowed less points than anyone in the NFL in the first quarter. What will give here?
Well, so far, the New York Jets have been holding up their end of the bargain. I know that Pittsburgh is trying to get into the red zone, moving towards it, but this game playing to form.
Much like the very first game, a defensive battle, 3-3 all the way to the fourth quarter. On 3rd and 8, Roethlisberger scrambling. And dropped at the 26, short of the first down by a couple of yards. Derek Strait, the rookie from Oklahoma, makes another good play. He's a third-round draft choice.
Well, good job by the Jets defense. First of all, the secondary taking away Roethlisberger's targets, and then when he declared himself and crossed the line of scrimmage, excellent work by both linemen and secondary people, especially Strait coming up with the tackle.
Jeff Reed will try a 45-yard field goal. He's 28 for 33 on the season.
And the wind is pretty much nothing.
Gardocki to hold. And it is good. Steelers strike first on a 45-yard field goal by Jeff Reed.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Levitra. Ask your doctor about it today. Levitra, when it counts. And by Bud Light. Fresh, smooth, real. It's all here.
Today, MetLife is navigating the skies above Pittsburgh to provide aerial coverage of our game. Look to the skies for the MetLife blimps and plane as they team up with CBS throughout the year. Reed with a field goal, and we'll kick it off to Jericho Cotchery, the rookie from North Carolina State. 5:18 left in this opening quarter. DJ Askew. Aside Cotchery, he's there to block. Cotchery at the 1. Oh, ran into his own man and had a seam brought down at the 28-yard line by Russell Stuvans. It'll be the Jets' turn when we return, down 3-0. Joy of Iron Mountain, Michigan. Lions coach Steve Mariucci has joined the team at SuperBowl.com, provides weekly playoff analysis on the site. See what he has to say. SuperBowl.com on AOL. Pennington Scrambling out of the pocket, slides at the 33-yard line and a gain of about 5. Well, the Steelers and Bill Cowher, 47-year-old head coach, that'll even make Cowher smile. Look at how often they're ahead and how few minutes they're behind.
That is an extraordinary statistic. 10 minutes in their 8 home games were they behind at any time. Geez, you'd think they must have a good record at home.
The latest that they've trailed at home was 3 minutes in the first quarter. Obviously a first possession. Pennington got 4 in the scramble. Intercepted by Polamalu. Troy Polamalu on his way to the Pro Bowl for plays like that. He picked off Pennington in the game last month.
Well, not only that, after the interception, he was auditioning for tailback. What a run by Polamalu after the interception. The All-American from USC going to the Pro Bowl this year, and the first mistake belongs to Chad Pennington and the Jets. I must not see Polamalu, who floats out from underneath, and then he just runs right over Curtis Martin. Polamalu at the line of scrimmage, then drops back from the outside to the inside, and Pennington throws it right to him.
First interception thrown by Pennington in his last 89 throws, and the break goes to the Steelers through the hands of Polamalu. Now Bettis for 3, maybe 4. You just can tell by the sounds of the hit when Jonathan Vilma, that rookie from Miami of Florida, puts a tackle on a ball carrier.
Well, this game has got a lot of nice matchups with Jerome Bettis and Curtis Martin. We have the 4th and 5th leading rushers in NFL history, and we have both the AP Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year in Jonathan Vilma, and we have the AP Offensive Rookie of the Year in Ben Roethlisberger staring at each other here when the Steelers have the ball. That's a nice matchup. Congratulations to both those kids.
2nd and 6 for Roethlisberger. The throw, what a catch. Twisting is Hines Ward as he, also on his way to a Pro Bowl again, 4 straight years, makes that a very tough catch.
And look at him go back to Ben. Early in the season, Hines Ward told Roethlisberger, you're trying to be too perfect. Just throw it. Let us make the plays. Well, that's exactly what happened there. That was not a perfect throw, but Hines Ward went back and dug it out. And ever since that time when Ben said, okay, I was just trying to be like Tommy Maddox, and instead of aiming, I started throwing. And that was a big difference.
First down at the Jets' 12. Burris can't quite get there. He was checked by Abraham, but the ruling was that Abraham made contact in that 5-yard zone. That slowed down Burris just enough.
Ooh, this is a matchup the Steelers salivate over. 6'5" Plexico Burris against the much shorter Donnie Abraham, and you're right. Abraham got the good chuck on Burris, delayed him getting off the ball, and that is about the only way he can combat a receiver of Burris's skills.
Steelers have had their problems in the red zone, surprisingly, but here comes Bettis, the bust, barreling to the 3-yard line and close to a first down. They'll mark it a half-yard shy of a first down. Let's see.
Well, take a look at this. The blocking out front. What a great block by Jeremy Tooman. Oliver Ross, the right tackle, pulled to the outside. And again, power football and emotion. Jerome Bettis overflows with both.
And he is the heart of this Steeler team. He stays in with Kreider, the fullback, in front of him. 3rd and short. Who else? Bettis, touchdown! He scored 13 touchdowns rushing on the regular season. He gives the Steelers a 9-0 lead.
And Dick, this was just the case these last two plays in particular. The Jets defense just being overwhelmed by the blocking and the running of this Steeler offense. Outstanding work by the Pittsburgh offensive line. Outstanding.
Troy Polamalu, he set it up with the interception. And now the try for point by Jeff Reed. 10-0. So Pittsburgh, true to form, does score 10 in the opening quarter. A minute 58 left. And for opponents of the Pittsburgh Steelers, 10 is a mighty big number to look at. They have allowed 3, 7, 6, and 7 in their last 4 games, a total of 23 here at home. 10 is a sizable number to overcome. Let's see what happens as Kotri brings it back. Good run by this young guy from North Carolina State. And he's out of bounds at about the 37.
Well, that was all set up by Troy Polamalu, fooling Chad Pennington at the line of scrimmage, and then as he sees Chad declare to that side of the field, he floats out from the outside back towards the inside, and look at that run that sets up this power football. Faneca around the trap, and Jerome Bettis bangs it into the end zone.
Herm Edwards talking with Pennington, who's back on the field now. At the 38-yard line with Curtis Martin, the star runner behind him. Martin, the NFL rushing leader by 1 yard over Sean Alexander of Seattle this year. Spins outside and gets to the 42-yard line. In each of his seasons, Curtis Martin, 10 years in the league with New England and the Jets, every year over 1,000 yards. Barry Sanders, the only other player to accomplish that. But the Jets against Pittsburgh, you see, kept out of the end zone now for 10 consecutive quarters. Polamalu, he's playing now as he did at Southern California in college. He's freelancing. He goes to the ball. Fake to Martin. The throw back is complete to McCarron's, and he has a first down at the Pittsburgh 47-yard line. First invasion of Steeler territory by the Jets.
And a monster first down for the Jets. Down 10-0, and now all of a sudden they can take a deep breath. Herman Edwards and his team can, well, to turn it over and punt it back if they wouldn't have converted on the upcoming third down would have been a disaster for the Jets. Let's see if they can find some sort of offensive rhythm, maybe at least get into field goal range.
Martin, the workhorse, inside the 45-yard line, and Aaron Smith, the defensive lineman from Northern Colorado, makes the tackle. Had 8 sacks and 3 forced fumbles, did Smith this year. A banner season for him, a guy that weighed only 200 pounds as a college freshman, now at 300 in the NFL.
And you can make a legitimate point for Aaron Smith that he deserved a nod to go to Honolulu for the Pro Bowl. He really had that type of a season.
Final seconds of the opening quarter, a Pittsburgh Steeler first quarter again, 10-0 Steelers. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Welcome to the second quarter. Dick Enberg, Dan Deerdorf, Armin Katayan, Mark Wolf, our producer, Bob Fishman, our director. Second down and 6, and Lamont Jordan makes his first appearance. Play action, and Pennington throws underneath complete, and it's Anthony Beck, the tight end, and that'll be good for the first down at the 30 of Pittsburgh. So the Jets have moved into long field goal range.
Well, Dick LeBeau is back in Pittsburgh, the guy that really invented the Blitzburgh defense, the zone blitzes, along with Dom Capers, the way they did it here. He's back this year at 67 years of age, and what a job that he has done restoring this defense, finishing the year as the #1 overall defense in the NFL. Some guys just have it, and Dick's got it.
You bet, and Troy Polamalu is the one who sings his praises. He's managed to put Polamalu in the right spot all season long. Pennington flips it into the flat to Lamont Jordan, and the big running back who complements Curtis Martin, Jordan, who averaged 5.2 a carry and had 15 catches on the year, gets sizable yardage, almost 6.
Well, coming back from the interception that he threw to Polamalu, Chad Pennington on this drive is making some really good decisions. He's identifying single coverage. He's going through his reads. He identified Anthony Beck with a one-on-one on the much shorter Polamalu. That time he checked off and dumped it off to a running back. That's the way Chad Pennington has to play football, smart football.
He's an academic All-America at Marshall. That's one of his real strengths as he hands off to Jordan again. And the big man from Maryland plows close to the 20-yard line. Chris Hope came up from safety to make the tackle.
Well, trying to match wits with Dick LeBeau is Paul Hackett, the offensive coordinator of the Jets. Of course, back here in Pittsburgh, where he used to be the head coach at Pitt, the University of Pittsburgh, and where he recruited some guy named Curtis Martin.
Small circle, this coach's world. Now Dave Wanstead is the head coach over at the University of Pittsburgh. On 3rd and 1, you can see the Jets 25 out of 30 on the season. Pennington has to hurry now. He's not going to make it. He has to call time.
Timeout, New York Jets.
Early timeout here in the second quarter. The Steelers up by 10. Reminder on Monday, an all-new Late Show with David Letterman, Jack Hanna and his animals, actress Terry Polo. Monday, an all-new Dave. 3rd and 1. Does Herm Edwards dare to gamble here? Go for something big. No, he stays on the ground to Jordan, and he has the first down as he powers to the 17. Clark Hagan's got him to the turf.
Well, how refreshing for the Jets to have a 3rd and 1. Remember their first 2 drives? They faced a 3rd and 12 and a 3rd and 24. A little more manageable here to put Lamont Jordan in and run a little power football and move the chains.
That's part of the Jets' drama. Herm Edwards, with a smile, says, we're a drama team. He wants to use Lamont Jordan more often.
Well, to this point in time, this has been a dramatic drive after falling behind 10-0.
First down, play action, pump fake, and then he has to eat it as Chris Hoke, the defensive tackle, comes in, makes the play. Casey Hampton, the Pro Bowl nose tackle, injured in the preseason, and Hoke, an undrafted free agent from BYU, has played well.
Right here, the pump fake. Chad Pennington was hoping that was going to get Santana Moss open down the sideline. When it did not, he had no place else to go with the football. He smartly eats it. That was an all-or-nothing play. That pump fake was hoping to freeze the corner. It didn't. Moss wasn't open. Sack.
Hoke had 2 sacks in the regular season. There's a new lineup. Martin and Jordan in the backfield at the same time, and then Jordan goes outside, and Martin goes down. Another loss as Ferrier and Williams collaborate on the tackle.
Well, after a really successful drive, 2 blown plays put the Jets, well, you guessed it, right back in a 3rd and long situation. And you can see how Lamont Jordan in the second half of the season has become a much bigger part of the Jets' running attack.
That's a lot of yards for the man backing up the NFL rushing leader. 479 on the season. So 3rd and 14. And another sack as Pennington tries to inch forward, gets to the 24. Aaron Smith, who led the Steelers with 8 sacks on the season, gets his first today.
Boy, and now after all the negative yardage, we're going to be looking at a field goal in excess of 40 yards. So a very promising drive for the New York Jets on 3 consecutive plays just disintegrates, just like the Jets' pocket.
42-yard field goal attempt by Doug Bryan. He won it in overtime at San Diego last weekend. Oh, he had to stop, pause, and still nails it cleanly. In his rhythm on the swing of the leg had been disrupted by the snap and hold, but Bryan delivers, and the Jets are on the board. 10.5 minutes left in the first half. Herm Edwards needs points. Pleased with that kick.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Subway. Can you feel the heat rising? Get ready to experience a fresh toasted sub. Subway, eat fresh. Chevy and American Revolution, supercharged for 2005. And by Nextel. Nextel helps groups get things done. Nextel, done.
5:30 here in Pittsburgh. Night is falling, but certainly not dulling the enthusiasm of these eager Steeler fans as the kick comes down to Ike Taylor. And Taylor to the 30 and to the 35-yard line.
Well, Dick, I can tell you this high snap right here from Dearth, 9 times out of 10 will result in an unsuccessful field goal. Toby Goen, an all-star job.
Steelers and Roethlisberger, number 7. John Elway wore 7, and he was an Elway fan, and Joe Montana. It's the hottest selling NFL merchandise item in the country, that 7. What a phenomenal rookie season. Play action by Roethlisberger. Eludes the rush. Big man, just 22 years of age, 240 pounds, gets a couple yards before Vilma bounces him out of bounds.
Well, you know, a lot was made last week of Herman Edwards and his sideline blow-up with Bishop Harris, the running back coach. Here they are again talking about Lamont Jordan over there on the other side. And I can just tell you from a former player's perspective, probably the 53 people that were least affected by that blow-up were the players on the Jets. Football is a game of emotion. Players go at it with each other. I've seen coaches go at it. It's really not that big a deal.
Although Edwards did apologize to his team for losing his cool, and Bettis is dropped as Brian Thomas, who was playing for John Abraham, the injured defensive end, and Thomas a good tackle.
If anything positive has come out of John Abraham being hurt, it really has been the play of Brian Thomas. Great job there of fighting inside the block of Jeremy Tooman. But John Abraham being out has given Brian Thomas to get a lot of snaps, and a guy, a number 1 draft choice a couple years ago, a disappointment in a lot of people's eyes, has really become a pro now here in his 3rd year.
Loss by Bettis makes it 3rd and 10. Antoine Randall shifts into the backfield in that shotgun formation. And it's he was the intended receiver on the screen, but coming in to fly swatted away was Dwayne Robertson, who has emerged as one of the top interior defensive linemen in the league. This 317-pounder from Kentucky.
Well, that's one of those deals where Ben Roethlisberger turns his back completely away from the screen side, and when he peeled around, had to throw it. Oops, there was the big man right in front of him.
Santana Moss is deep, and in the words of Herm Edwards, his coach said he's geeky about some punt returning today. He felt that he might get a long one, Edwards.
That's a returnable kick.
18, he slips, hurdles, almost got to the wedge, and a flag goes down.
Ooh, that's what you look for as a punt returner, a low line drive like Moss got there. That slip cost him some yardage.
James Harrison, who has done a terrific job for Bill Cowher on special teams, made that stop, and now the penalty flag, and it will be against the Jets apparently.
During the return, illegal block in the back. Number 21 receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down. Timeout.
Bill Levy, a referee from San Jose, California. Former fireman and policeman, and there is the call.
The NFL on CBS.
Penalties can put you in a precarious position, and that call on the punt return stuffs Pennington and the Jets back on their own 10, and this crowd is looking for a big defensive play. Pennington on the roll. Throws it deep downfield, and is it caught in bounds? A tough play made by Justin McCarrons, and they're ruling it a catch. The Steelers trying to help out along that sideline and call it a juggle as Chris Hope made the defensive play.
What an outstanding call by Paul Hackett, and what execution by McCarrons and Pennington. This ball takes a long time to get there. Chad not able to step into it, kind of hops when he throws. But boy, does he delivered on target. The crowd reacting about whether or not McCarron's had both feet down, but you can see that he did and then got knocked out of bounds.
30-yard play, and Pennington on top again. A long bomb. Incomplete to Justin McCarron's. Oh, my. So back-to-back long throws by Pennington. Well, folks, Sunday, tomorrow night on 60 Minutes, one of America's most famous athletes, known around the world. How come you've never heard of him? You will tomorrow night on 60 Minutes.
That last pass, good coverage by Deshae Townsend. I think McCarron's was expecting the ball over his inside shoulder. Pennington threw it to the outside shoulder.
Steelers rush 4. Pennington underneath. A leaping catch by Santana Moss. Up high, the little guy from Miami of Florida to spear that one. What a team that Hurricane Club had back in 2000-2001. The wide receivers were Santana Moss and Reggie Wayne. We'll see him tomorrow with the Colts.
And on this drive, the Jets are getting very aggressive, putting the ball in Chad Pennington's hands. Down by a touchdown and letting Chad work his way out. And this is good field position for the New York Jets, considering that they were looking at the 10-yard line as their starting point, and a conservative set of plays would have given Pittsburgh a pretty good shot at field position in Jets territory. Good work here by the New York Jets.
And Moss, with that catch, gets the 10 yards and a first down on the measurement. Ball just in Steeler territory. Here in the second quarter with 8:14 remaining before the intermission. And the Jets trailing 10-3. It's been an open game plan by offensive coordinator Paul Hackett.
See, but now that you've loosened them up, you can go back to the run.
Play action. Pennington dumps it. Curtis Martin able to carry a tackler with him. It's Larry Foote, the middle linebacker, down to the 42-yard line. Foote playing for Kendrell Bell, who is not in uniform. Flew this week. Groin throughout the season. Missed 13 games, did Bell, so wasn't much of a factor on the season. Foote stepped in and has done a good job. Third year out of the University of Michigan. Second and a short 3. Back to Martin. And for a 210-pounder, he shows you again he has not only elusiveness but good power after the hit, close to another first down.
Take a look at this Pittsburgh defense here at home this season, giving up only 13 points a game, over 2 takeaways a game. And in the last half of the season, nobody has scored more than 7 points against this Steelers defense. Yes, that's championship football, and Dick LeBeau, the defensive coordinator, gets a lot of the props for that.
Allowed only 2 touchdowns the last 4 games at home. It was a first down. Pennington going deep for Moss. Almost pulled in by Moss. Willie Williams got a hand in there to save a score. Mighty Mouse Williams with a defensive play.
You have got to love the aggressiveness of the Jets, though. They know this is what they have to do. They've got to stretch out this Pittsburgh defense. Chad had a chance to step into that throw. It is right there for Moss, and it is just an outstanding piece of work by Willie Williams. Look how he times it perfectly, hitting Moss right on the shoulder the instant the ball gets there. Yes, it might have been a nanosecond early.
Martin on the draw play. Gets to the 34-yard line and a pickup of 5. Travis Kershke and Joey Porter make the stop. Porter on his way to the Pro Bowl once again.
But a more manageable 3rd and 5 coming up for the Jets. You know, they converted a 3rd and 1 earlier, but keep in mind, they'd face 3rd and 12, 3rd and 24, 3rd and 14. At least now they're in some area, some comfort zone.
This drive starting back on the 10. It would be a very long field goal if they make no more yards. And Pennington in trouble. Throws as his arm is hit. Incomplete. And Pennington gets up. At first, it appeared that he was suffering some pain. Willie Williams came in on a corner blitz.
Yeah, Chad upset as he heads to the sideline. Polamalu coming from the near side. Willie Williams comes on the corner. As the Steelers do, they'll overload a given side. You'd think for the Jets it worked out because you can see Pennington runs away from the blitz, but he has no chance to set and unload before he's dropped by Williams.
Out of field goal range, it would be about a 53-yarder, so Goen is in, sends a very high punt, and it goes into the end zone. Steelers at the 20-yard line. So a long drive for naught for the New York Jets. Coming to CBS in 8 days, folks. Don't miss the premiere of Numbers, an exciting new drama about two brothers who will change the way you look at crime solving. Rob Morrow, David Krumholtz, star in Numbers, premieres a week from tomorrow after the AFC Championship game on CBS, America's most watched network.
Well, that drive resulted in no points for the New York Jets, but it was highly successful. Starting at their own 10-yard line, the Steelers now start from their own 20. Kudos to the Jets offense. Points would have been great, but the field position's a plus.
Possession time twice in the favor of the Jets, 16 minutes to 8 minutes. Roethlisberger steps up and throws. Hines Ward, the intended receiver, incomplete on the coverage from it gets Terrell Buckley on that corner in this sequence. You think Ben Roethlisberger is throwing the way we saw him earlier in the middle of the season?
Well, that throw was underthrown, but a lot of times that's such an effective throw. You identify single coverage, and you intentionally drop it a little short because your receiver is the guy that's able to make the better break on the ball by slowing down.
You see Roethlisberger with gloves on both hands. And a whistle before the snap.
Maybe he's gone to that glove on his right hand because he didn't wear a glove on his right hand, his throwing hand, the first Jets game. He played so poorly, maybe he's trying to change his luck.
9 for 19 in
Prior
that
to
game.
the snap, full start. Number 80, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Harmon, what do you have for us?
Well, just quick on the old thumb thing and the glove thing with Ben. I talked to him before the game. He said he had done it about 3 or 4 times, particularly in cold weather games. It's really not that cold down here, but Bill Cowher told me Ben is particularly finicky about the feel of that glove, and that's might have been what we were seeing with that so-called thumb problem. Back to you, Dick.
All right, growing up here in the Midwest, Findlay, Ohio, Roethlisberger certainly acclimated to playing football in cold weather. Good protection, the throw downfield, complete. Hines Ward cradles the ball and a first down out at the 33-yard line.
Well, that was a big-time throw because Roethlisberger has to arc this ball because he has to throw it over the top of the Jets' linebacking core and yet drop it down in front of the safeties. Look how he floats it right over the top of Jonathan Vilma, finding the soft spot. This is the play where a guy like Vilma can make a play on it, but look at that. The ball just arced neatly right over his head, and Hines Ward runs a great route.
Third catch for Ward to lead the Steelers. He has 42 yards, as you see in our stat tracks. Now it's Bettis drawing a defensive crowd as he passes the 35-yard line. Dwayne Robertson and Jason Ferguson, the two big guys in the middle of that Jets defensive line, and then supported by Vilma. Vilma, number 51, fluent in 4 languages, an academic star at the University of Miami, Florida, and as Dan pointed out, voted the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. What a find.
Yeah, both rookies of the year staring at each other from about 4 yards.
Bettis again, and the big man to the 40-yard line to bring up third down and 3. Under 4 to go in the half.
Take a look at this graphic, folks. Yards per attempt might be the best measurement of the effectiveness of a quarterback. And look at the company that Ben Roethlisberger is keeping where he ranks in the NFL. Second in the league behind only Peyton Manning at 8.9 yards per attempt. He doesn't throw it as often as a lot of other guys, but talk about efficiency and bang for the buck. That's what Ben Roethlisberger brings to the Pittsburgh offense.
66% completions, too, and that was 4th best in the league and the best ever by an NFL rookie quarterback.
And you can see the Jets are holding him well below his average.
Roethlisberger dumps this one in the flat, incomplete to Verron Haynes, and that one seemed to slip out of his hand. He didn't get a real good throw. He kind of shot-putted it out to Haynes.
He might have tried to make this ball a little too catchable by just floating it out there. Now, Haynes could have caught it, but again, sometimes as a quarterback, you're better off throwing it to the guy rather than lobbing it to the guy. And that time, you're right. It looked like he lobbed it to Haynes instead of passing it to Haynes.
Gardocki, a Pro Bowler back in '96 when he kicked for Indianapolis. Left footer ready to send it to Santana Moss. And that whistle, no play. False start against Pittsburgh. Bill Cowher.
Prior to the snap, false start number 29. Kicking team. 5-yard penalty.
One of the many interesting matchups here, the two coaches, Cowher and Edwards. They were teammates with the Philadelphia Eagles for a couple of years, and then later were both in the Kansas City Chiefs organization in the early 90s under Marty Schottenheimer. Edwards was a scout and Cowher an assistant coach. Of course, Edwards had a very fine professional career with the Eagles as a cornerback. Cowher was a special teams player and a linebacker. Gardocki's punt. Moss comes up to the 25. Now has some room at the 40. 2 blockers in front at the Pittsburgh 40. And Santana Moss does get a geeky return. Touchdown, and there are no flags down.
Santana Moss on the return.
Well, Herman Edwards had a premonition. He said he just has the feeling that Moss is going to have a big one. They don't get much larger than that.
Well, the Jets special teams have been coming up huge. Remember, Cotchery had a kickoff return for a touchdown in their last game of the season against the Rams, and now Santana Moss delivers big time. And we have an official hurt on the far side of the field. But boy, talk about a big-time play to get the Jets back in this game. Mike Westhoff, the special teams coach of the Jets, is absolutely ecstatic.
It's a 3rd punt return for a touchdown in Moss's career. And it really set up that one little move and cut up field.
Well, that move, Dick, he made a play, and he sold everybody that he was going to try to get around the corner to the sideline. He made that move to the sideline and then stopped on a dime and went straight up the field. Pittsburgh had 3 guys outside of him.
They tended the official who was along the sidelines. 75 yards, the first ever Jets punt return for touchdown in the playoffs.
Outstanding recognition by Santana Moss of seeing that soft spot in the Pittsburgh defense.
John McGrath is the injured official. I don't think he was hit.
There he is right on the left side of our screen. It actually looked like he pulled a muscle or something happened. He wasn't hit. It appeared that he was just running along following the play.
Let's go to Armin Katayan.
Well, Dick, I'm right down here next to John, and it's the back of his leg. He's just grabbing it right now, I would say, and I am not a doctor, but it definitely looks like the hamstring area. He's in agony, and they are bringing a cart to him right now, and he's headed to the locker room. Back up to you.
Okay, Armin, thank you. Hopefully not anything serious as Toby Goen lines up for the extra point to tie it up. And so it is, 10-all. On a 75-yard scintillating punt return by Speedy Santana Moss.
Well, what a job by the New York Jets of getting back in this football game. It is what Herman Edwards preaches to this team. And you know what? I think everyone had some concerns about last week in San Diego, having to play 5 quarters of playoff football clear on the West Coast, traveling all night back to New York, not getting back until 7:30 in the morning. Would they be able to, summon the energy, Dick, both emotional and physical that it takes to play off football? And this is some effort on their part getting back in this game.
Well, and Dan, the week before the last game of the season, they went overtime in St. Louis. So they were in St. Louis, had to go home, then to San Diego, overtime, then back home, now to Pittsburgh. And yet they have rallied from a 10-0 deficit and have tied it here on Moss's kick return.
Well, Pittsburgh scored early in this game, and it looked like they were taking control. First of all, Reed with the field goal gave them a 3-0 lead. And then how about some old-fashioned power football? Jerome Bettis behind Faneca. And then 10-3 became the score after Doug Bryan knocks one through. And boy, just when they needed a big play, they got it from Santana Moss. And all of a sudden, this game down 10-0, we're all square.
And that took some noise out of this partisan Steeler crowd of 65,000. Most allowed this season in the second quarter, the Jets. So that's how tough it is to score here at Pittsburgh. Ike Taylor, he'll try to return the favor. He's to the 30 and across the 35-yard line before Trevor Johnson, the defensive end, can make the tackle for the Jets. Oh, rare position for Roethlisberger in the middle of the second quarter in a tie game at home.
Well, that's where a running game is your best friend. They average 154 yards a game, a tremendous offensive line. You don't ask Ben to do anything silly here, but I'm telling you right now, the Steelers' offense and their coaches, they no longer think of Ben Roethlisberger as a rookie. He's just their quarterback.
That's Kreider shifting in motion and blocking for Bettis, who breaks through the line, and he bumps his way almost to midfield before Eric Coleman, the safety, can bring him down.
Well, you dance with who brung you, and who brings the Steelers to the game is their offensive line and their blocking fullback, Dan Kreider. And what a gash in the Jets defense there was there for Jerome Bettis. Kedrick Vincent, Oliver Ross, and Hardings, and then the block by Kreider. That was good looking.
13 yards for Bettis, who has 51 in the game. Nothing on this try, however, as the Jets ready for him. Alan Harper playing at defensive tackle, and Eric Barton team up on the stop. Roethlisberger heads to the sidelines as the clock ticks down to the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes left in the opening half. Jets 10, Steelers 10. Back at Heinz Field, Steelers heavy favorites, but the Jets have tied them at 10. MetLife teaming up with CBS providing today's aerial coverage. Look for the MetLife in the skies as they provide coverage of future sporting events all year long. Roethlisberger sets, throws, low, incomplete. Hines Ward couldn't scoop that one up.
Well, that was just a bad throw from Big Ben. That thing had nothing on it and just took a nosedive at Ward's feet. And you got to give some kudos to the Jets defensively, who've not yet given up a catch to Plexico Burress.
Donnie Henderson, the defensive coordinator, boy, a fiery guy is he. Done a terrific job for Herm Edwards. Edwards said when we brought him in, they thought he was a substitute teacher. He said, we got the principal. 3rd and long, 13. And Roethlisberger from the shotgun goes to the far side to Antoine Randall L. Complete but short of the first down at the 47 of the Jets.
Well, just like in the first matchup, Ben Roethlisberger statistically has had a really bad half. I think he's like 4 of 12 so far in this half. No completions to Plexico Burress, and the New York Jets defensively, as they did in the last game, played the Steelers almost to an offensive standstill in the first half.
Going out of bounds there stops the clock. That favors the Jets. 1:48 left in the half. And the Jets have 2 timeouts. Gardocki, disaster on his last punt. He hits this one shorter. He hit a Jet, but it's covered by Moss. The ball took a backward bounce and hit a New York Jet going down to block. It appeared to be David Barrett, but Moss alertly fell on the ball. No, it was Derek Strait.
Yeah, it actually hit Derek Strait right on the left arm, and a very fortuitous bounce right to Santana Moss.
Only one turnover in this first half, and that was the interception by Troy Polamalu that led to the Jerome Bettis Steeler touchdown. So how aggressive will Herm Edwards be here? He's got 2 timeouts, 1:41 left in the half, but he's deep in his own end, 16-yard line. That was Chidi Iwoma that came off injured for the Steelers. Pennington, soft throw in the flat, and complete to Anthony Beck, the tight end. Gain a couple yards. Reminder, coming up at halftime, the Nextel halftime report with Greg and Dan, Shannon and Boomer. They're going to look at the entire playoff picture, plus Jim Nantz and Phil Simms will preview tomorrow's much anticipated AFC playoff game between the Colts and the Patriots, all coming up on the Nextel halftime report.
Well, Beck going out of bounds there. A nice break for the Steelers that if they don't give much in the way of yardage here to the Jets, I'm assuming will use their first timeout to stop the clock in anticipation of trying to get the ball back.
2nd and 8. Pennington dumps this one in the flat to Chris Baker, the other tight end, and he's dropped at the 20-yard line. Another 2-yard gain. Deshae Townsend from the corner makes the stop.
Well, I'm really surprised Pittsburgh isn't taking a timeout.
I guess they're thinking of Bill Cowher. You take timeout here, and then Pennington gets the first down, and then you've helped them out.
You still got it. They're still inside their own 20-yard line. I think field position in your favor.
Down to 1 minute left in the half. Martin behind Pennington, 3rd and 6. Pennington over the middle, almost intercepted by James Ferrier. A flag is down. Ferrier, who just had a career year and earned his trip to the Pro Bowl, as voted the number 2 Defensive Player of the Year behind Ed Reed of Baltimore. And let's see how they sort this one out. Ferrier had 4 interceptions and a touchdown. He led the team in tackles again this year. He had 3 sacks and 4 forced fumbles. Now that is a playmaking season.
Pass interference. Number 27 defense. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
Willie Williams gives the Jets a first down.
Well, Willie Williams, number 27, working on Moss. Now Santana just runs a slant. You can see he's got his left arm behind him, but boy, that left arm just looked to me like it was sitting there. I didn't know that he actually jerked and moved Santana Moss. You are allowed to have an arm touching somebody if you don't move them or hook them.
Ball marked at the 25, 46 seconds left in the half. Pennington screens it back to Martin, and Martin is tackled by Polamalu. Another big open field play by this second-year safety.
Well, that's why Polamalu is going to the Pro Bowl. That was about a 15-yard tackle, because if he doesn't make that play, Curtis Martin has a lot of room to head downfield. Take a look at that. You don't see another Steeler in the picture downfield. Kimo von Oelhoffen is coming back from the inside. I don't know that he's going to make that tackle. What a play. What a yard-saving tackle by Polamalu.
Proud of his Samoan heritage. He said the long hair represents the warrior instinct. You can't talk to a milder, manner guy. He's like Curtis Martin of the Jets. There's just no meism in this young guy, but boy, does he play hard.
Well, the Steelers used the timeout there to stop the clock with that loss of yardage, hoping to get the ball back. And again, I'm still scratching my head a little bit why they didn't use a timeout before on the third down with the New York Jets. Now the Jets ended up getting a first down on the Williams penalty, but still.
Second down and long now for the Jets. Martin on the sidelines and Lamont Jordan in the backfield. And it's Jordan up the middle with running room. 35, 40, and a saving tackle by Willie Williams. He was the last black jersey.
Well, and I think that's why Herman Edwards has been adamant about getting Lamont Jordan more playing time, because he feels he has an explosiveness. First of all, excellent blocking by his front four. Anthony Beck downfield getting in the way. But Lamont Jordan, not only being more powerful, he's more explosive than Curtis Martin. And that, it makes it sound like a criticism. How do you criticize the NFL's leading rusher? But it really, you can praise Lamont Jordan without criticizing Curtis Martin, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Between the two of them, they rushed for 2,176 yards, so they do complement, and that was a 20-yard favor Jordan handed his team to get him out to the 41-yard line.
Now it's against a pass defense. The Steelers are sitting back there, they're not wanting to give up a big play, but still it gives you an idea of the burst and the ability that Lamont Jordan brings to the Jets table.
Jets exercise the timeout. They have one left. 29 seconds remain in the half. Trying to get into field goal range before this first half concludes. Pennington scrambles, throws, complete to Moss, and he had to come back for the ball, so he gets to the 49, and the Jets have to use their last timeout to stop the clock at 20 seconds. He's made his impact on this first half. Santana Moss, Doug Bryan, hoping to get a chance. It's interesting, Dan. Our guys scrambling through all the notes and figures, and they found that there has not been a field goal made from 50 yards or longer by anyone at Heinz Field. No one has kicked one from beyond 50.
Yeah. And this is the fourth year, and you see the target line there. This is the fourth year of this stadium, and that's a remarkable number. The winds can be very tricky in here.
Fortunately for kickers and passers today, it's very mild. And only 5 have tried from 50 plus. So now the Jets without a timeout have to work the sidelines if their intent is to get downfield to the 29, that target line for the field goal try.
I think you could do one in the middle and spike it. Not that in the middle.
Well, it's an incomplete pass, or did they roll Pennington down in the grass? They're going to call it incomplete, so he saved a chance for another play.
Well, and Chad Pennington, what he can't do here is be dumb with the football. And, of course, he's not dumb with the football. Taking a sack here, hey, what's the worst thing that happens? Higgins and Porter are in there. What's the worst thing that happens? You go into the locker room 10-10. You don't do anything silly in this position. You want to be aggressive. You don't want to be dumb.
3rd and 2. Do they try the Hail Mary here? Nope, he has to flip it off to Soule, and Soule is to the 34-yard line, but the clock runs, and the Jets will try to scramble up and down the ball. Will they get it down in time? No.
Well, they're going to argue that they did it with 1 second on the clock. Bill Levy's going to have a tough decision to make here.
That's the end of the first half.
Well, he made it.
Boy, it just hit double zeros as the snap was made. Ooh, based on our clock there, it looked as if he got it down on the ground before the double zeros.
But the snap came at 1 second. Yep. Keep in mind that you have to spike the ball, and the official has to blow the whistle to end the play.
Right. So the end of the opening half. Pittsburgh 10, the Jets 10. Let's go to Armin.
Well, you're smiling about that last one, but the question is, your team really responded, Herm, down 10-0, particularly Santana. That's the first punt return for a touchdown in Jeff's playoff history.
Yeah, it really is, and we got a lot of fight. That's what I like about our football team. We're going to fight. At the end of the day, we're going to fight, and that's what I like about these guys.
You got to like what you've seen so far.
Thank you.
Dick?
You can feel the fire in the furnace of the head coach. We'll be back with the Nextel halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. The Jets, the underdogs, are tied with the favorite Steelers at 10 as you watch the NFL on CBS. Great job, Armin. Steelers, this crucial first possession that'll set the tone for the second half.
Well, of the two coaches going into halftime, when Armin talked to Herman Edwards, it was clear to see which one of them was riding high. Herman's so proud of his team, battling back, getting back into this game. Remember one of our questions early, could they refill the bucket after emptying it last week in San Diego? Well, through the first 30 minutes, pretty impressive.
You get that punt return for a touchdown. That'll turn the spigot on. And now it is Antoine Randall L. who's had his share of kick returns for touchdowns, but it comes down to Ike Taylor, fumbles the ball and is able to fall on it going out of bounds at the 28-yard line.
Well, we always bring you up to date, you fantasy players, after halftime, and nothing spectacular here throwing the football, a good percentage for Pennington, but offset by that one interception that he threw that led to a Pittsburgh touchdown. Jerome Bettis averaging 4 yards a carry, as is Curtis Martin, but Bettis has the touchdown. And as you notice, 000 there on the right for Plexico Burress. They've got to get him involved in the passing game.
Kreider at fullback and the bus, Jerome Bettis at tailback behind Roethlisberger. And it's Bettis off the right side, grabbed by Jason Ferguson after maybe a gain of a yard. Bettis, who, like Curtis Martin, moved over 13,000 yards in their career this season. He's now the number 5 rusher all time. His counterpart for the Jets, Martin, is number 4.
It's kind of fun being a part of history today, watching these two guys, and have two classier people ever carried the ball in this league than Martin and Bettis.
They've represented this game and their city and their team as well as you can. Hall of Fame has reservations for them, and Bettis powers through a tackle, makes an extra 4 yards as Brian Thomas unable to get him down. Vilma finally made the deciding hit.
Just keep in mind that this guy's 255 pounds. And when you talk to people about Jerome Bettis, especially his head coach Bill Cowher, they talk about his feet and that jump cut that he makes. He is the body of a guard, the feet of a ballerina. And that's an unusual combination.
Third and a long yard. Ron Haynes is in the backfield in the shotgun with Roethlisberger. And it looked as if the Jets were offside. Roethlisberger throws complete anyway to Lee Mays, and Mays has his first catch, had only 9 all season, and a first down up across the 40-yard line. The flag
offside.
is down.
Number 72
Jason Ferguson was across the line, and that's why you keep playing. The Pittsburgh Steelers smartly kept playing Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, he's offsides, and he just keeps it going, and so does everybody else on this offense. And if you're going to get that big of a cushion, take advantage of it. Lee Mays, only 9 catches during the regular season. Not a big part of this passing game, but he's made a couple clutch ones down the stretch.
First down at the 47. And it's Bettis. Moves the pile to the 50-yard line. Bettis started to tell you the story about Chuck Knox drafting him with the LA Rams as a tailback, and he said it took him a full year to learn how to run as a tailback, not a fullback, because as a fullback I was always running into people and getting hurt. I had to learn to use those quick feet to duck around some tacklers.
Traded by the St. Louis Rams to the Steelers because the St. Louis Rams were preparing to draft Lawrence Phillips out of Nebraska. That really worked out well.
Yeah. 49-yard line of the Jets as Roethlisberger And he has to eat it back at the 42. The first Jet sack of the game as Ferguson and Robertson, the two defensive tackles, log the sack. This is the fourth time Pittsburgh has been the AFC's #1 seed under Bill Cowher. In 1992, they lost the AFC Divisional playoff at Three Rivers to Buffalo. 94 AFC Championship, the Steelers went down to the Chargers 17-13. And then 3 seasons ago, right here at Heinz Field, Pittsburgh was defeated in the AFC title game by New England as the Patriots went on to win the Super Bowl. So all the news not good in winning the home field advantage for Pittsburgh. Third down after the sack, and it's Veron Hayes, and well read by the defense of the Jets as David Barrett came up to support Jonathan Vilma. Now the Steelers will have to punt.
Yeah, John McGraw, number 38, the safety, really sniffs this out. And from the inside, Vilma also in on this. But take a look at it's John McGraw. What a good read. And I am so impressed with the Jets and their pursuit and their speed defensively. They don't look tired at all.
Gardocki to punt. Ooh, they put some pressure on him, and Moss at the 21. He earned some respect. Boy. A lot of dancing, but very little gain to the 24-yard line.
When you don't have any blockers in front of you, you got to dance.
He had it going. That's John Flyer, head linesman. He has taken the place of the injured John McGrath. The extra officials, of course, on hand. He's an alternate. Curtis Martin at the 29-yard line, greeted by Larry Foote. Jets bench watching intently as they use the hot seat here as the temperature dropping down to around 25 degrees. And this has been their quarter, New York. 105-34. They've outscored the opposition. This has been where they've made hay all season. Martin and Soule behind Chad Pennington. Number 1 quarterback picked in 2000. Pennington hands off to Martin, weaving his way out across the 35, and a Jets first down. Willie Williams coming up from the corner to make the tackle with Clark Higgins.
Boy, outstanding blocking by the Jets up front. Troy Polamalu, check him out. He reads the run. He comes in, flows right down the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, he's in a trailing position from the word go. That was an outstanding lead block by Gerald Soule, and a beautiful first down run for the Jets.
Fake to Martin. Pennington, no one open deep. Now he has to backhand his pass to Soule, and a flag is down as Soule is tackled at the 38. James Ferrier makes the play.
Roughing the passer, number 55, defense. Helmet to helmet. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Bill Levy threw the flag, and he threw it in a hurry.
Yeah, Joey Porter gets the personal foul for the helmet-to-helmet hit. I followed the ball after Chad Pennington flipped it. Well, you can see Joey Porter lowered his head, and that will draw the flag every time. He lowers his head and hits with the crown of his helmet right in Chad Pennington's chest. It was not a vicious hit, but if you hit a quarterback in the chest with the crown of your helmet, it is going to draw the flag every single time. But it has awakened this crowd.
And the Jets move into Steeler territory with a penalty at the 47. Martin struggles to the 45. Travis Kershke, the defensive end from UCLA, made the stop.
You know, and right now, every person at Heinz Field realizes that when you're a prohibitive favorite like the Steelers are in this game, that the more you let the underdog hang around, the more you give them an opportunity to be in this football game. Bad things a lot of times happen. And right now, this looks like a Steelers team that's got a lot of question marks, both externally and internally.
2nd and 7. Pennington off play action going deep for McCarron. Williams incomplete, and a good defensive play by Willie Williams.
And Chad got lucky there. He made a decision that he was going to throw that ball regardless of the coverage the Steelers threw at him. And Willie Williams was all over McCarron's.
So was Polamalu. He was there too, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Justin McCarron's actually comes in and plays defensive back and breaks up what looked to be a pretty good opportunity for an interception by Willie Williams. That was a case where Chad made his mind to throw that ball regardless of what was downfield.
14 for 18 in the short passes, but Pennington unable to hit the deep ball.
But they're taking shots. That's important.
Here comes the blitz. Pennington screens it and right into a mass of Steeler tacklers led by James Ferrier. Gerald Soule had no chance.
Boy, and for the first time, wouldn't you agree, for the first time since Moss's punt return, this crowd is starting to eke back into this game?
And they drained the spirit, that punt return touchdown, out of this noisy crowd of 65,000. Antoine Randall drifting back to return.
Well, he's more than capable of doing it.
He has 4 kick return touchdowns in his brief 3-year career. Man from Indiana, former quarterback with the Hoosiers, returns to the 20-yard line. Gerald Soule made the tackle. Timeout, 8 left in the third.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the NFL and official airline of Super Bowl 39. Listerine, you can handle it, germs can't. And by the coldest tasting beer in the world, Coors Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL and Super Bowl 39.
Back at Heinz Field, that's Deuce Staley, who's been in only one play the entire game. He's suffered a hamstring in the 7th game of the season after off to a roaring start, had 4 100-yard games, and then Jerome Bettis replaced him, and then Bettis had such a fantastic finish of the season, 6 starts, 6 100-yard games. Roethlisberger to the sideline, complete. Hines Ward, a first down, and a 12-yard pickup.
Well, that was a well-delivered ball by Ben Roethlisberger. And what has really been missing in this game is any semblance of a passing attack by the Pittsburgh Steelers. And everybody, present company included, thought that the return of Plexico Burress would really open things up for the Steeler passing game. And he's been a non-factor, but that was an excellent throw from Roethlisberger.
To the sure-handed Hines Ward, who has 4 catches. Burress yet without a catch. Bettis wrapped up after a gain of a yard or 2. Comparing Big Ben, his first 12 games. The first game against the Jets on December 12th. You see his numbers.
Which, keep in mind, was his worst game of the year. That rating right there of only 33.6, his worst rating of the year. So you got to give some kudos to the Jets. They have really made it torture for Ben Roethlisberger in the 2 games. A little more than a game and a half he's gone against the Jets.
2nd and 8. Ben to throw. Caught by Burress. There he is. Ahead of David Barrett. Plexico Burress turned and the ball was there.
Well, there is the difference maker finally getting to play to be a part of this game. Ben's gone to Burress a couple times before, hasn't been able to hook up, but this is a strike, kind of sidearm. And you could see that David Barrett, after the play was over, arguing that Burress pushed off. Well, when you're 6'5", you're a physical presence.
17 yards on that play, and Roethlisberger getting a hot hand. That's 5 straight completions. Back to the ground game, and Jerome Bettis gets to the line of scrimmage, and that's it as Dwayne Robertson and Jonathan Vilma team up on the stop.
Well, Dwayne Robertson, number 63, boy, has he really started to become a real football player. He's only in his 2nd year. He was the 4th player taken last year. But this guy has become an upper echelon defensive tackle in the NFL. The guy's got, of course, great leverage and only 6'1", but he has good range, good legs, good speed for a big man.
Yeah, we saw that. He was in on that sack earlier in the game. Back to Burris on a passing down. They go to the run, and Burris takes advantage. A gain of 7 before Trevor Johnson and company can get him down.
Big JB. Jerome Bettis, look at the wink. This guy loves life and loves the game of football. But just again, look at the nimbleness, the lightness on his feet. Of course, he gets great blocking from this offensive line. It's got a pair of Pro Bowlers in the middle with Hardings at center, Fanek at left guard, Kedrick Vincent at right guard, who's had to start all year because they lost Kendall Simmons in training camp.
Steelers need 2.5 for a first down. Quick throw, wide open is Burris. No, make that Lee Mays who comes in. And the rangy Mays at 6'2", able to catch his second pass and give the Steelers a big first down.
Almost an impossible route to defend. You can take a look. Lee Mays comes in, is swinging in behind a receiver going downfield. And again, keep in mind, this wasn't 3rd and 12. This was only 3rd and 2.5. Very high percentage route and throw from Ben Roethlisberger completed to Mays.
Roethlisberger here in the second half has really picked it up, hasn't he?
I would say so. 5 for 5.
Escapes the pocket and being dragged down, gets it off incomplete as Sean Ellis, who led the Jets this year with 11 sacks, had him by the shirt tail.
And again, the Jets doing a good job of forcing Ben Roethlisberger out of the pocket. He wanted to take just a moment longer to try to find somebody, and to get good range by Sean Ellis in cutting off the outside.
Roethlisberger, throughout the season, his rookie year, has been more effective rolling out of the pocket and throwing. Ellis limped off slightly after that play. Alan Harper replaces him. He's got some room to run, but throws. Intercepted. It's Reggie Tongue, the man from Anchorage, Alaska, and he's trying to take it the full distance. Tongue has a Jets touchdown. Oh, my.
Roethlisberger's pass intercepted by Reggie Tongue.
He had only one interception all season, had one last week against the Chargers. How big is this?
Well, Ben buys himself some extra time right here by scrambling out of the pocket. And throwing on the run is something he has done well all year. He's trying to get the ball to Antoine Randall, but he just throws it directly to Reggie Tongue. I don't know if he was trying to float it over him or he didn't see him, one or the other. But either way, a major error. And where were all the Steelers? Given the fact where Tongue caught that ball to the far side of the field, squeezed between the sidelines, I'm surprised he got through there untouched.
2 big return touchdowns, and Brian gives the Jets the lead. This is as late ever this season at home. The Steelers been behind. Well, he's not from Anchorage, he's from Fairbanks, but he knew the right way to run. Reggie Tongue.
Hi, guys.
Welcome back to a stunned Heinz Field where Reggie Tongue's interception returned. And here's how it happened. The Steelers, 1, 2, 3 receivers to this side, but here's Reggie Tongue back here who just is going to float underneath. And I'll tell you right now, he can't believe that Ben Roethlisberger just threw the ball right to him. And I have no explanation as to why Roethlisberger underthrew his receiver by so much.
Toby going, kicks to the sidelines to Antoine Randall, who comes back to the center of the field. Flags are down. And that'll be it for Antoine Randall at about the 27 as Eric Coleman, starting safety, there to make the first hit. Last Jets interception for a touchdown in the postseason, Kevin McArthur in '86 against Kansas City. But 2 big return touchdowns. Talk about big plays. Santana Moss, 75 yards on the punt, 86 yards for Tongue on the interception.
Illegal block in the back during the return. Number 92, receiving team. 10-yard penalty, first down, timeout.
James Harrison, the guilty party. Herman Edwards Jets have given their head coach a smile and a 7-point lead.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by UPS. What can Brown do for you? And by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge.
Well, the Jets managed 3 defensive touchdowns during the regular season. The Steelers 5. First time trailing at home in the last 5 home games, and that was the New England game when New England scored in the first 3 minutes to lead 3-0. 17-10, 17 unanswered by the New York Jets, and now Roethlisberger starts at the 18 after the penalty on the kick return. To the sidelines and open again is Hines Ward, out of bounds at the 28. As we said, 3 defensive touchdowns this year. Donnie Abraham with a 41-yard fumble return against Cincinnati in Week 1. 3 weeks later, Abraham again intercepting Miami's Jay Fiedler, 66 yards for the touchdown. In the season finale, rookie linebacker Jonathan Vilma scored the first touchdown of his career, and now number 4, maybe the biggest of all, one of the biggest in Jets history, one might learn later, as Reggie Tongue goes 86 yards and the lead. Bettis down at the 32. Barton and Vilma, the linebackers.
Well, the turnaround for the New York Jets this season and the play of this defensive unit and the impact that Donnie Henderson has made as the new defensive coordinator just can't be overstated. There is Donnie Henderson, a man who's for sure going to end up a head coach in the National Football League. He brings an intensity and an energy level. It just cannot be overlooked.
He's got head coach written all over him.
He most certainly does.
Second and long. Roethlisberger screens, and boy, they got blockers in front of Bettis. 40, 45, 50, and to the 48 of the New York Jets. Plenty of drama here at Heinz Field, and tonight, drama and mystery on CBS. Don't miss Cold Case, NCIS, and a new edition of 48 Hours Mystery, all tonight on CBS, America's most watched network. 21 yards on the screen, and here's Deuce Staley, only the second play he's been on the field tonight.
I don't know there are many plays in football that I enjoy watching more than a well-executed screen.
And that one was just as it's drawn up. You hear the Deuces cry out as Staley, his first carry, and he gets down to the 40-yard line. A gain of 7 before Barton and Barrett make the stop.
Well, you know, Deuce Staley hurt his hamstring back on November the 21st, and Deuce told us a couple days ago that he still can't go completely 100%. He said, when I get in the open, I feel it when I really try to extend myself. So I'm taking shorter, choppier steps. He's well enough to play, and he's well enough to be a force, but he is not what Deuce Staley is when he's completely healthy.
Moved across the state from Philadelphia as an unrestricted free agent this year to join the Steelers. And he is thick. 5'11" and 242. Not much there to grab, and what you do get a hold of is muscle.
Well, keep in mind that, you know, this is a football team that used to have a 1-2 combination of Bettis, and then it was Amos Zaraway, a complete contrast to Bettis, a much smaller, dartier type of running back. Well, you know, when they take out the beef now, they just replace it with more beef. They go from power to power when it's Staley, Bettis, or vice versa.
Yeah, they're both 5'11", and Bettis is about 13 pounds heavier at 255. So a first down at the 37. 3 in a row for Staley. And he burrows for 6-7 more. Played his college ball at South Carolina. Final seconds of the third period as the Steelers have moved into field goal range, but the story of the third period was Reggie Tongue's interception return for a touchdown, 86 yards, and the Jets lead 17-10. Fourth quarter, Dan Deerdorf and Bill Cowher mentioning to Armin Katan how important that third period was in the first possession, but the Steelers unable to stop the Jets from making the big play.
Dick, talking to the Steelers, they point to the Dallas game back on October the 17th, the day that they believed in Ben Roethlisberger. They were down 10 points in the fourth quarter. He brought them back to a 24-20 win. That was a defining moment for Ben. He's facing another right now.
We open the fourth quarter, first down at the second down at the 30, and Bettis gets a first down and more. He's to the 22. And this is where the Steelers, with their ground game, have worn down so many defenses during the course of the year to the Jets. And going back to your point about all the emotion and all the fatigue that has gone with 2 straight overtime games, they've been on the road 3 straight weeks. What's left in that tank?
Well, it's what happened in the last meeting between these two teams a little over a month ago. 3-3 into the start of the fourth quarter, and Jerome Bettis, a touchdown pass, a touchdown run, broke it open for Pittsburgh.
Winning it 17-6.
You know that's what they're thinking.
Here's Bettis in the backfield. He fumbles. And the scramble, and the white shirt was there first. And we'll see. There it is. The Jets have recovered. Eric Coleman coming up from his safety spot. Sean Ellis created the fumble. A rare giveaway by the bus. And Bettis and the Steelers and their fans are stunned. The improbable fumble by a man who secures the ball so well. Bettis did not lose a fumble all season. 353 touches. They call Sean Ellis the big cat. Well, he just clawed it away. And now the Jets start from inside their 25, leading 17-10.
Sean Ellis here to the right of the screen is really going to work upfield. He's kind of out of the play, and he reaches back in with his right hand, and it was not much. That was hardly a violent rip on the football, but it caught Bettis unawares. He had not completely secured the ball. And a monster turnover as Sean Ellis heads to the Jets locker room for some reason.
Third forced fumble for Ellis on the season. 2nd and 9, and Curtis Martin moving back into the backfield. Pennington throws to the sideline. It's Chris Baker, backup tight end, and he carries it 2 yards shy of the first down as Ellis heads for help. Tomorrow, back-to-back MVP, Peyton Manning. Colts, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, Tom Brady, the Patriots. The AFC Divisional Playoff, what a game that should be. It begins with Greg, Dan, Shannon, and Boomer special playoff edition. NFL today, tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 o'clock in the West. Yeah, wait for that one. 3rd and 3. Pennington incomplete through the hands of Santana Moss.
Well, that was just a bad pass by Chad Pennington. Yeah, he threw that ball well behind Santana Moss. A good pass there is a really routine first down pickup for the Jets. Look how open Moss is. The ball way behind him. That's just a bad toss. That would have been a very, very easy first down with anything even resembling a good throw.
Pennington admits he doesn't have the strongest arm. He said, I have some zip. I throw a friendly ball. That one was not. Randall L. caught on the side and dragged at the 34-yard line. The Steelers have it back. They trail by 7. Plenty of time left.
The playoffs, win or go home.
Winning the championship.
The playoffs.
Let's do or die.
It wouldn't matter if I had to play 20 years to win a Super Bowl. That's my goal.
All the individual records, and every player says the same thing. Nothing can mount to the height of winning that Super Bowl ring. As we now, with 12:41 left in the fourth quarter, the Steelers and Roethlisberger get it back at the 34. Pumps. Able to kick free at the 40, 50, and the big man is all the way to the 46-yard line in Jets territory.
Well, I remember Bill Cowher saying, what was your biggest surprise about Roethlisberger? And he said, I had no idea he could move the way he moves. We knew he's a big, strong guy, but this took us by surprise. We're into training camp looking at each other going, this guy can motor. And at 6'5", 241 pounds, he brings a lot more to the table than just strength.
20 yards on that run, mindful of his days with the Red Hawks at Miami of Ohio. Bettis, he's eager to get the ball back, and down to the 40, a gain of nearly 6. Vilma, another tackle for the Jets. Steelers in a rut, punt, interception for touchdown, fumble when they were going in for a score. Credit to the Jets defense. Roethlisberger knocked away as Burris was there, but so was Barrett. David Barrett timing his move.
Well, this is a matchup that everybody thought was an automatic for the Steelers. David Barrett working against Plexico Burris. Again, that throw from Roethlisberger was over the inside shoulder to Burris. If that would have been over the outside shoulder to the sideline, it would have been a completed pass. By being inside, David Barrett able to make a play on it.
3 for 9 on third down. This is 3rd and 4. Jeremy Tooman hasn't caught a pass today. Throw over the middle, complete, first down at the 30 to Burris.
Well, Ben put that one right there. That was a bullseye and a great blitz pickup by the Steelers offense to give Big Ben time to throw it. A blitz right up the middle was handled by the Steelers. David Barrett did not get a real good jam on Burris. He makes the blitz adjustment by breaking off his route. You could see the blitz pickup up front. Eric Barton was handled.
Brian Haynes did a good job of getting Barton. The bus to the 25.
Well, the Jets right now have been able to compensate for the loss of John Abraham by the good play of Brian Thomas. There's Abraham on the sideline, but now with Sean Ellis having gone to the Jets locker room, and we yet haven't determined what's wrong with him. And you can see now in the lineup, Trevor Johnson, the rookie from Nebraska, is having to play for Sean Ellis.
He was a 7th-round pick. On 2nd and 6, back to Bettis. And they stack him up after a yard or two. Brian Thomas leading the way.
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers right back where they were where Jerome Bettis fumbled the ball when he was stripped by Sean Ellis. The Jets weren't able to capitalize. They only ran 3 plays. Had the misfire with the 3rd down conversion pass from Pennington to Moss, and now the Steelers right back in it in Jets territory. Huge 3rd down.
Isn't it? 3rd and 3. They bring Burris in motion. That gives them a triple right formation. Roethlisberger, plenty of time. He guns it complete. First down at the 17. Hines Ward, his favorite target.
And again, when he's got time to step into it, Ben Roethlisberger delivered. That was a perfect throw. Hines Ward just had to stay in stride, didn't have to extend for the ball. And if Ben Roethlisberger, he's got a lot of work to do. You wouldn't think this guy's popularity could be any higher than it is right now. If they should win this game, look out.
Gives to Deuce Staley, and Staley dragging tacklers to the 10, a gain of almost 8.
See, this is where the Steelers, I would assume, are thinking to themselves, this is what we did to you last time. We exerted our will in the 4th quarter by wearing you out. And you would hope that thought doesn't cross the mind of the New York Jets defense. But right now, the Steelers' offense right now is wearing out the Jets a little bit.
Look at that, 91 yards rushing this half. Using Staley to give Bettis a blow, and Staley running hard. Here he comes again. And there's where that hamstring doesn't quite give him that extra gear as you make your cut upfield. He had to slow it down, round it off, and the Jets were there. Tongue and Ferguson with the stop.
Well, this is such a pivotal moment for this Jets defense. This is where the trips to the West Coast, the 5 quarters of overtime playoff football come into play. Overtime the week before in St. Louis. There aren't words to describe how tough it is to be out on the field in this position. Your lungs are burning. This is where a real football player, a real man steps up.
3rd and 1 at the 8. Bettis ran into his own man, but got his head down low and burrowed for what appears to be enough for a first down. We'll see. Barton and Vilma made the tackle, and they'll measure to make sure. Bettis, every time you see him run, he's like the old bowling ball. And of course, that's the family sport. Bettis himself, a great bowler. He has a 300 game, his entire family. And there's the big cat returning, Sean Ellis. They missed him, and it's a first down and goal. And Ellis returns.
Well, Sean Ellis jogged out onto the field, and Donnie Henderson wastes no time in sending him back in there. They can use some fresh legs here on the Jets' front wall.
Steelers 7 yards away from tying it. 6:57, the clock running. 4th quarter, Jets 17, Pittsburgh 10.
Kreider's in front of the bus.
It is the bus to the 4. Jason Ferguson to make the tackle. 2 Pro Bowlers there in the middle of that Steeler offensive line. Harding's at center and Faneca the guard.
Well, you try to take advantage of your best players in this situation. You saw Alan Faneca pull around into the hole, block on Jonathan Vilma. They love to run right up the middle. Why not? It takes advantage of Bettis' strengths and where your Pro Bowl players are in the middle of your line.
Bettis a yard away from 100. The toss inside to Hines Ward. Touchdown. The shovel pass to Ward.
Well, nice call. Nice call by Ken Wisenhunt, the offensive coordinator of the Steelers. That was a well-executed play, and it caught the Jets flat-footed. Coming from, you see, he's just sit there to the left. Alan Faneca gets the good trap block, and Reggie Tongue just not able to make the tackle at the 1-yard line.
Now, taken for granted extra point, but this is big too. Josh Reed ties it at 17. To the delight of this Pittsburgh crowd, 66 yards in 12 plays. The score on the 4-yard shovel to Hines Ward. Airplane, MetLife provides aerial coverage of about 70 television events a year. Look for the MetLife blimps in town near you. At 17, Reed sends a high spinner toward Jericho Cotchery. And the rookie crosses the 20 and then is rejected. Good solid hit by Harrison and Ike Taylor. The emotional investment of the loyalists in Pittsburgh. The towels are out.
It's been a long time since I've been in a stadium that felt like this.
From the 23, the Jets. And Curtis Martin straight forward for about 4.
Let's go back to the touchdown. Here's Hines Ward right here. Watch the pull by Alan Faneca, the left guard, as he comes out, gets a trap block. That is a well-executed shovel pass. That is just a good-looking play, and the Jets really had no chance whatsoever.
To tie it at 17, and Ben Roethlisberger leading the celebration. Now it's the Jets. Pressure under all this noise. Pennington, deep downfield, complete to the midfield stripe to Justin McCarons, who has another catch, his fourth in the game.
Boy, and that was a lot of cushion being given to McCarons. You see right there Willie Williams falling way off and giving McCarons, well, I think way too much room underneath. That was a gift to the Jets from the Steelers secondary, and Chad Pennington took advantage of it with a good throw to McCarons.
The rangy McCarons at 6'2", picked by the Jets in a trade from Tennessee for a number 2 draft just because he's that big target. They reverse it to Jericho Cotchery, and he just gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Kimo von Oelhoffen not fooled a bit. All right, just a quick pause here. Does last week's Jets-Chargers game rank with you in the annals of great NFL playoff games? You can cast your vote at NFL.com. This one may top that one. There's Von Oelhoffen, who played at Boise State, a native of Molokai, Hawaii. Made a big play on the first down. Now it's 2nd and 10. Lamont Jordan in motion to the outside. Pennington screens it to Martin. Gets a good block. 40, 35, a 17-yard gain and a first down before Chris Hope can make the stop.
Well, we saw that really well-executed screen by the Steelers, and the Jets come right back with one of their own. This is more of a middle screen. You can see Curtis Martin gets lost in traffic. Kendall comes out in front. Kevin Mawai got a block back. Now Chad Pennington, a good screen depends on the quarterback waiting until the last minute, and that's what happens to the quarterback more often than not. If you're going to sell it, you're going to take a hit.
And that's how Pennington has fractured a wrist 2 years ago and hurt his shoulder in Buffalo this year. Falls much like that. Back to Martin. Vaulting through a hole for 4 to the 29.
Well, I think back to Herman Edwards talking to Armin Katayan going in at halftime saying, my team doesn't have any quit. My team won't give up. And that's what Herman has said about this Jets team all year long. And look at how they are responding with this drive as we come towards the 2-minute warning left in the game. This is impressive by the Jets.
2.5 minutes to go. Jets didn't score a touchdown in their first game here against Pittsburgh. They don't have an offensive touchdown tonight. There are 2 touchdowns, a punt return, an interception return. They're in wrong field goal range, but they stay with Jordan, and Lamont Jordan able to move the pile a couple of yards to the 28-yard line, and that will probably take us to the 2-minute timeout unless one is called.
Pittsburgh, I believe, took a timeout.
Steelers used their first of the second half at the 2:07 mark. The game tied at 17. A reminder, a big surprise ending Monday on a new CSI Miami. Monday, 10, 9 Central on CBS, America's most watched network.
Why would Pittsburgh call a timeout to save 7 seconds before they were going to get a clock stoppage at the 2-minute warning?
3rd down, 5. Martin, the running back. Pennington throws it incomplete, but he saved a sack and leaves the Jets within field goal range at the 2:03 mark. And here comes Doug Bryan, kicked one 42 yards, and that was no modest effort. It was a bad snap, great hold by Goen, and Mr. Bryan had to adjust his whole step movement in order to make the kick. 46 yards is the longest by a visiting kicker. This would be 47.
And if he misses, Pittsburgh will get outstanding field position.
Is it long enough? No, it hit the crossbar. 46, it would have been good. 47, too long. Oh, my.
Back at Heinz Field, Doug Bryant's 47-yard field goal attempt hits the crossbar. The Jets are in this game because a rookie kicker from San Diego misfired from 40. And now the Steelers have a chance to try to move into field goal range of their own. And the Steelers with 2 timeouts remaining, my guess is, wish right now they had that timeout they burned at the 2:07 mark to save only 7 seconds. I bet you they'd trade those 7 seconds for that timeout back right now.
And how fragile the distance when we come down to the pressure of a field goal kicker. He hit the crossbar in San Diego, it went through. He hits it, and it bounces out in Pittsburgh tonight.
And he's got the leg. Doug Bryant's made a lot of kicks over 50 yards. There's no wind here. That wasn't an issue.
So the Steelers do indeed start with good field position at the 37. Plenty of time and a field goal perhaps to win it for them. Roethlisberger to throw. Throws it high and intercepted. Too tall. And here comes Barrett. David Barrett all the way to the 36-yard line of the Steelers. An off-balance throw by Roethlisberger, and it was too tall and right to Barrett.
Well, he tried to get it to Plexico Burress. He was going to his big receiver, all 6'5" of him. And when that's Lee Mays, rather. I take it back, that's Lee Mays. And the ball just sails. Well, Lee Mays was not the intended target. Plexico Burress was the intended target. He did throw it way over his head.
Right back to where they tried the field goal before, the 37-yard line. And now this big Pittsburgh crowd edgy as the Jets are in position to use the clock and get the points necessary for a huge upset win. They start with Curtis Martin, and he guns inside the 35. Clark Higgins makes the tackle. 29-yard line, the target line for a 46-yard field goal. Obviously 47 is right at that range. And the Jets are 5 away from that target line. Roethlisberger intercepted again. Previously, a big pick by Reggie Tongue that was returned 86 yards for a touchdown. And it's been the big plays for the Jets on defense and special teams that have them in a position where they could win tonight. A punt return by Santana Moss and Reggie Tongue's interception return for the 2 touchdowns by the Jets. A fumble by Bettis and the 2 interceptions, the 3 turnovers against a team that was number 2 in the league in that turnover differential, a plus 17. Only the Colts were better, plus 18. A reminder, the Subway postgame show with Greg and Dan and Shannon and Boomer coming up. You'll hear from the winner of today's game. Armin Catan will be there for the interviews, plus updating the playoff picture coming up on the Subway postgame show. With 1:37 left, Pennington dumps it off, complete to Martin. And he's down to the 25-yard line. That would be a 42-yard field goal attempt. Chris Hoke made the tackle.
Oh, and Curtis Martin lost his legs there. That looked like he had a chance to get bigger yardage than that. And as this clock continues to run, I'm sure it's not lost on New York Jets fans that the final score of their overtime win last week against San Diego was 20-17.
And there was a missed field goal in overtime by Nate Kading, the young kicker for the San Diego Chargers.
And they were large underdogs in that game.
Martin stacked up at the line of scrimmage, and the clock is at 50 seconds and running.
I would try to get closer. I would run some high percentage plays if I'm the Jets.
This is no gimme. This would be a 42-yard attempt.
I would want to be closer.
Meanwhile, the clock now at 30 seconds. Lamont Jordan in the backfield. Second down. Jordan embracing the ball with both hands. Gets a couple to the 23.
Well, Doug Bryant's going to come out and try to win the game for the Jets, but I'm sure he wouldn't have minded if New York would have made a little more of an effort to get a little closer to the goalpost.
40 yards will be the kick. His 28-yard overtime field goal won it last week. He missed only 5 times all season, Brian. He's missed tonight when he hit the crossbar at 47. Let's go back to last week and the kick that broke the Chargers' heart as Brian, dead center, gave the Jets that 2017 win in overtime.
And that was a 40-yarder.
And Doug Bryan, just moments ago, 47 yards, was about a half yard too much for him as he kisses the crossbar. No good.
Well, that was a 28-yard field goal.
Last week.
Yeah, last week. Pardon me.
Well, this one is going to be spotted, we would guess, at the 40-yard line. One of the Steelers have any kind of surprise? No, he's going to stay. Pennington's going to stay in for another.
They may try to move the ball directly into the middle.
They got 6 seconds to do it and then call the time. I don't understand what that accomplished. Timeout called. They used 2 seconds. Now it's 4 seconds.
They just wanted to make sure that under no circumstances, even if this was a missed field goal, that Pittsburgh could not have a chance to run a play.
Okay.
Now that they're down to 4 seconds, they're guaranteed of there being no time left on the clock at all.
Herman Edwards, his team coming up with a big plays, not an offensive touchdown in the game for the Jets, and yet they have a chance to dismiss the number 1 seeds, the Steelers, if this kick is good. Going to be spotted at the 33, so a 43-yard attempt. And the Steelers will use the timeout to ice Doug Bryan. That to be expected.
And I'm sure that every single person in Heinz Field right now is thinking, this cannot be happening to our 15-1 Pittsburgh Steelers. Our number 1 seed. Well, the score tied at 17. Pittsburgh thinking that they were going to move down into field goal range. Ben Roethlisberger severely overthrows. Plexico Burress, David Barrett with the interception. And that puts the New York Jets and gives Herman Edwards' team, in which he says that this team has no quit. For the second week in a row in the playoffs, they have a chance to pull a large upset.
Crowd will tell you whether the Jets win. He missed it.
Well, let's play some overtime.
The reversal of emotions on one swing of his right foot.
Well, this one never had a chance. Doug Bryan hooked this ball badly to the left. Good snap, good hold. He just pulled this one. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, there's a young kicker out in San Diego who could commiserate with Doug Bryan.
And yes, Ben, you get another shot.
And Bettis and the bus will be back in gear. And from his angle, he couldn't tell until he saw the official signal, nor could Pennington. You saw what Herm Edwards did. As soon as it was missed, he went right to some of his team as if to say, okay, we got to just win it in overtime again.
Well, you know what he told his team last week after the Eric Barton penalty gave life to San Diego? He said, well, men, we're just going to have to win it twice.
Initiated by the replay booth. The Jets, you are the visitor, so you will call it head and a tail. What's the call? Tails. Tails is the call. It is tails. You'd like the ball? Which ball would you like to defend? You're in the right direction. The Jets have won the toss and will receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
And the Jets, incredibly, in their third consecutive overtime game against the #1 seeds, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Time game in a row. They do win the toss, and much like his brief speech in San Diego a week ago, they'll have to try to win it twice, in his words. There are the rules of overtime. Jets get it first, 3 timeouts for every 2 overtime periods. Kickoff to start this third overtime period. If there goes to a third overtime period, no coaches challenges. The booth reviews them all. That's important. You score by any means, safety, field goal, touchdown, the game's over. Some feel it's a huge advantage to win the toss and get the ball first, but it doesn't play out that way statistically. It's
no, but I'd rather win the toss than take the ball.
Yeah, every coach would.
I'd like to have the guaranteed chance to win the game.
Askew and Kotchery wait for the kickoff. Jeff Reed sends it their way. Short this time. Kotchery. And Kotchery is caught at the 31-yard line. Well, Pennington on that last couple of drives were able to find some big yards passing deep down the middle. Let's see what the plan for the Jets will be. At Marshall, Pennington preceded another pretty good quarterback, Byron Leftwich. I'm sure watching. They communicate by phone every week. Leftwich, sensational young Jacksonville quarterback. Curtis Morton, the veteran in the backfield. They're going to be a false start, no play. And that would have been a gain almost to midfield to Santana Moss.
Yeah, you could see some movement on the Jets' offensive line.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 66 Austin. 5-yard penalty, first down.
I mean, the Jets, Dick, put together a really good-looking drive there at the end of regulation. But, again, to reiterate the point you made earlier, this is an offensive football team that scored a whopping 3 points in this football game so far.
Those of you joining us, the Jets and Steelers tied. The Jets scoring on a 75-yard punt return by Santana Moss and an 86-yard interception return by Reggie Tongue for their 2 scores. That false start really has this crowd going. Quick throw, Moss. Short gain. Read well by Clark Higgins and Willie Williams.
Well, there's no secret that they're going after Willie Williams, number 27. Williams gets a lot of help, though, here from Higgins, the linebacker who really flies out there. He was all the way in the regular formation and covered a lot of ground to get in on the tackle of Santana Moss.
And 2nd and 13, hit as he throws, incomplete. Oh, that had interception written on as Krebet saw the ball fly past him.
Well, Joey Porter put the pressure on Chad Pennington. There he is, lower right part of your screen. He works upfield and gets around Anthony Becht. And Chad wasn't able to put much of anything on there, and you're right, that's a ball that floated. And a lot of times that ends up being a pick, and here the Jets are again in a 3rd and long.
What does defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau have in store here on 3rd and 13?
I doubt it's to play it safe.
Pennington to the side, caught at the 40 by McCarron.
Where are they going to spot
That's
this?
going to be it, and it's
wow!
Great spot for the Jets, and that should be enough for a first down based on the yardstick across the field.
Well, let's see where this catch is made by McCarron. He's going to come back for the ball. Well, he actually comes down right on the 40-yard line. Now, he was coming back, so his momentum took him back a little bit. But let's just say that was an awfully generous spot.
You saw Cowher say upstairs. Are they going to review it?
He wants to know if the booth upstairs is going to... If they're going to want Bill Levy to take a look at this, it's up to the replay official upstairs. Bill Cowher can't challenge this.
Based on the mark, it is a first down.
Yeah, you can see Bill saying, I'd like a little help from upstairs.
We're going to review the previous play.
And he's going to get it.
All right, Mr. Official. Here's your chance. What do you see here on the review?
It's not like he gave him like a 3-yard favor. We're down to inches here. When does he have possession of the ball? And where is he?
And that angle lies a little bit as well. The angle is from downfield and makes him appear closer to the 40. In midair.
We will review the play to see if the line to gain was reached.
Again, we have to keep in mind that on the field, the ruling was that the Jets had the distance for the first down. So Bill Levy's going to have to see something that is conclusive that it was short of that. I'm not sure he's going to see that.
Looked as if he caught it in the air at the 41 and was tackled backward.
You know, my initial reaction was that was one heck of a good spot.
A generous spot or a good spot?
No, a very generous spot.
Okay.
My initial reaction was that when he came down, he didn't have the yardage for the first down. But you can see what the official who was there right on the sidelines, right at the first down marker, you can see what he saw. You can see what's making it so difficult in my eyes was the fact that McCarron is coming back. He's coming back to his quarterback, which a good receiver should do, and that momentum comes into play.
Obviously, if the ruling stands, it's a first down for Herm Edwards Jets. If they replace the ball and measure and it's not a first down, then we got a dicey 4th and inches call coming up.
I'm sure Bill Levy is looking at this going, man, I don't need this. Would you really want to be in his position? I think the biggest thing going in favor of the Jets right now is the ruling on the field. And will Levy see enough to overturn that?
Oh, here is a major decision by this retired ex-policeman and fireman.
The receiver gained possession of the ball in the air. He was at the spot that was given. The correct progress was ruled. First down.
Again, he's supporting the ruling on the field. Bill Levy did not see anything conclusive where he could change a ruling on the field, and I'm not surprised by that at all.
Boy, if you're a Steeler fan, though, it's hard to see that as a first down.
Yeah. Now, I think this as well. If the official on the field would have marked that 18 inches short of where it is now, that would have stood as well on review.
It's a human game. Curtis Martin. Outside to the 45, Willie Williams.
That's a holding call, Dick. I think Anthony Beck.
88. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
The referee giveth, the referee taketh away. Anthony Beck was right at the point of attack trying to make a block.
He had a big penalty call in the game here in Pittsburgh in the regular season that denied a big run by Lamont Jordan.
This ball was run right behind Anthony Beck, and he was out. Take a look at him. There he is right on the wing, and he wraps up and gets both arms all around, and right there, that's blatant holding as he grabs Clark Higgins.
It marks the Jets back at their 31, first down and 20. This crowd of 65,000 standing is one. The towels are out again. Martin reverses his field, straight arm, and a good one, and is able to gain about 12, and it looked as if they were going to lose on the carry.
Well, he really put it to Chris Hope. Chris Hope has got to put a better effort on it in coming up and trying to tackle Curtis Martin. I mean, you got to go get him. You just can't stand there and say, please hit me in the chops with a stiff arm. This is playoff football. Go get him. Excellent job by Curtis Martin.
10 yards.
You're going to have to bring more than that to bring him down.
77 on the game for Martin. The NFL rushing leader on a long pass downfield. McCarron's, and then almost intercepted by Deshae Townsend. There's an interesting call as the Jets go deep.
Well, I think it's I think you got single coverage. I think it's what the Jets came into this game knowing they had to do. Try to go deep. Curtis Martin, NFL rushing leader. How about that block he puts on Larry Foote? How about that, sports fans? And then Deshae Townsend, really good coverage on Justin McCarron.
Another big third down and 10. Porter creeping in, and he's coming. Quick throw outside, incomplete to Corbett. The veteran Wayne Corbett, even had he caught it, would have been well short of a first down.
Well, the Steelers are going to get their chance.
That Clark Higgins has played some game at outside linebacker.
Yes, he has.
Played at Colorado State. Was a teammate of Joey Porter. How about that for a bookend linebackers? Toby Gowen to punt it. Antoine Randall. Dangerous return man for the Steelers. Big kick. Sends him to the 5. Caught from behind, shy of the 15 by Jericho Cotchery. 54-yard punt by Gowen. Well, here in the second half, this was a big interception by Reggie Tung, who went untouched. 86 yards for a touchdown. Then Hines Ward from 4 yards out on the shovel pass got it even. Doug Bryant had a chance to win it. 47 yards, hits the crossbar. Then right back with an interception by David Barrett that put the Jets in field position. 43 yards to win it. And Bryant well to the left on the miss. And so now the Steelers get their chance in overtime, and Deuce Staley is in the backfield.
And let's face it, this second half has tested the confidence of Ben Roethlisberger.
Throws to the side, a sliding catch by Hines Ward. And Ward, the leading receiver in the game. That is his 8th catch. So sure-handed, and what a player. He just draws the admiration of every player around the league. He just does everything. He blocks well. He's a leader on the team and certainly has terrific hands and is a toughness that really symbolizes the spirit of this Steel City.
That's why he's going to his 4th consecutive Pro Bowl.
2nd and 2. The Deuce. First down up to the 28. And now the test of this Jets defense. How much is left in that fuel tank?
Well, if I'm Ken Wisenhunt, the offensive coordinator, and Bill Cowher, the head coach of the Steelers, I would really try to rely on this running game. I would try to keep it out of the hands of Ben Roethlisberger as much as I can. He's had a very shaky game, and this all-star running game is awfully good.
And he has played like a rookie at times tonight. Staley. Armin, what do you have?
Well, just the sense down here, Dick, these back-to-back-to-back overtime games that the Jets have played that looks like just a bit of the air starting to come out of them physically. Those 2 missed field goals really kind of taking a toll here on the sidelines mentally for the Jets and on the field physically. Back up to you.
All right, thank you. Ball at the 33. You see Staley got a lot more than you would have at first thought. 4 yards. He stays in. Roethlisberger off some play action. Down the middle long. And too long as he tried to hit Hines Ward on a crossing pattern. Just a quick word on Roethlisberger here. And part of his popularity, not only has he done so many things right on the field, winning 13 games in a row as a rookie quarterback, never been done in NFL history, but he announces this week that he's going to give his paycheck for tonight's game, $18,000 to the Tsunami Relief Fund. I mean, he's ahead of the curve, this kid. Good for him. Down and 6. Jets come with a blitz. Roethlisberger being chased. Dumps it complete to Ward. First down at the 50, and here comes the crowd.
Well, here comes Hines Ward back to save his quarterback, although it looked like Roethlisberger, if he would have chosen, could have run for a first down as well. But Hines Ward on a crossing pattern sees his quarterback. The Jets defender falls down, and that's just awfully easy. But again, Roethlisberger can run. He can move. He can buy time. He's done that all season long.
Ball tickles the 50-yard line. Deuce Staley in the backfield. That was the 9th catch for Hines Ward, 99 yards and a touchdown tonight. Staley pushed wide, and that's what you have to do to Bettis or Staley with their power, get them going laterally, and then Dwayne Robertson and Sam Coward into the game to make the tackle. Jeff Reed, his longest here at Heinz Field is 48, as you can see. So they would need to get down around the 32, 33-yard line for him to hit at that distance, and Doug Bryan ruminating about 2 chances to win it for the Jets. Roethlisberger fires complete. Short gain to Hines Ward, his 10th catch, tackled immediately by Derek Strait. A gain of 5. 6, they're going to mark it at the 44. There's the 30-yard line. That's the target line for a 47-yarder. Reed did hit 151 this year, but that was on the road. He's made 17 in a row. And look at that fiery Donnie Henderson, the defensive coordinator.
Well, something that puts Roethlisberger on the move could maybe take advantage of a defense that might be getting a little tired.
They need 4, the Steelers for a first down. Give it to Veron Hayes. He's got it. To the 36. Third-year runner from Georgia delivers.
And of course, as is always the case, Bill Cowher greets him at the sideline with an attaboy. Good block by Alan Faneca. Alan Faneca pulls all the way around through the hole. Watch him. There he comes, number 66. Picks up John McGraw. Just clears him out of the way. And that allows Haynes the yardage for the first down.
For the balance of the Steelers, 172 yards rushing, 171 passing. And they're ever closer to that field goal range. And Deuce Staley has got him to the 27. A 9-yard run.
And this is where your offensive line wins football games. And again, the Jets, they have given so much, and their feet have been to the fire so many times these last 3 weeks.
Steelers having the bye week, a week to rest, have the home field advantage as earned with the best record in football, while the Jets playing in their 3rd consecutive overtime game all on the road.
But if you're the Steelers, keep hammering.
Staley Stopped at the 24-yard line.
Interesting in the game back in December between the Jets and the Steelers, it was Staley early and Bettis late. In this game, role reversal. Bettis early and now Staley late.
Pretty nice luxury to have for Cowher. Well, it appears unless they go all the way for the touchdown, we're going to see Josh Reed to try to win it. Staley, meanwhile, would rather score 6 than 3.
You don't count on a field goal anymore, do you?
Boy, you sure can't based on these first 2 weeks of the playoffs. Staley, look at him. Charge through 2 tacklers and fall at the 19. It'll be 3rd and 5.
Smart guy, just follows Dan Kreider right up into the hole. Dan Kreider, the sensational blocking fullback.
Big hand for the Deuce as he comes out. 3rd down and 5. Make it 2nd and 5.
Boy, what a bad break for Pittsburgh. They got to bring Bettis back in.
He surveys the defense. Here's the bus, and they corral him at the 18. Jason Ferguson had a good game for the Jets in the middle of that defensive line. And now 3rd down and 3. Now officially 2, but it's closer to 3.
One school of thought is try your field goal on 3rd down so that if you have some sort of a bad snap or something, you get another shot at it. But I like Bill Cowher's strategy. Keep hammering away.
101 yards for Bettis, the leading rusher in the game. Roethlisberger sneaks it forward, and he might have gotten the first down with that last surge. He needed to pierce the 14-yard line. They're going to mark it shy of that. And Josh Reed, University of North Carolina, a walk-on in college. Free agent coming into the league in New Orleans. This man with a huge thighs, they call him Quadzilla, has made 18 consecutive field goals, Reed, while his counterpart across the way, Doug Bryan, woefully has missed 2 tonight. This one for 33 yards and a chance to be home next week. No play as the Jets will use a timeout. Bill Cowher's team with a victory, of course, has earned home field advantage next week as well. We'll see how Reed fares.
You know why?
So it rests on the right foot of Jeff Reed, who made a 45-yard field goal to open the scoring tonight. It's good. The Jets dismissed, so close to victory themselves. And the Steelers, in front of this vociferous home crowd, move on to the AFC Championship game and will host it. It's up to Reed. Number 3 from 33, and the 16-1 Steelers move on.
Well, I think the New York Jets have a lot to be proud of. 5 quarters of gut-wrenching football in San Diego a week ago, and to come back and push the number 1 seed in the AFC to the wall like they did tonight. I think some effort by the New York Jets. They ought to be proud. The Steelers move on, but they don't move anywhere. They stay right here at Heinz Field because of Jeff Reed knocking that baby home.
How huge the field goal kickers. 2017, the Jets win in overtime in San Diego. 2017, they lose, or the Steelers win tonight as Doug Bryan fails on 2 attempts well within his range. So for Dan Dudorf and Armin Kate and Dick Enberg here at Heinz Field, final score, the Steelers 20, the Jets 17. Tonight on CBS, Cold Case, NCIS, 48 Hours Mystery. And then stay tuned now for Greg, Dan, Shannon, Boomer with the Subway post-game show. Oh, what a playoff game. And we got a great one tomorrow, Indy and New England on CBS.